Hi there, my name is Kat. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing an intro to mat Pilates. If you have little or no experience in Pilates, then this class is for you. We're gonna go through most of the basics. There's gonna be a progression and we'll get a good workout at the same time. So all you really need is a mat. If you don't have a mat, maybe a towel. Just make sure you've got enough padding so that it's not uncomfortable on your spine and your joints. Preferably no socks, so bare feet, maybe some water, and let's get to it. So first thing we're gonna go through is placement of the spine and the pelvis. So in Pilates, we refer often to two types of spinal positions or pelvic placement. You've got your neutral and you've got your imprint. So neutral spine would be if, say, I'm standing, so your spine has some curves. It goes in at the lower back, then it comes out slightly at the upper back, and then it goes back in at your neck. So when you're standing upright or kneeling, as I am right now, that shape that your spine takes naturally, that is your neutral spine. We all have different curves in the spine. We're not all the same. Some of us have more of an arch in the lower back. Some of us are more flat. That's normal, but we all have a neutral spine. In imprint, and I'll go through this when we're laying down. Imprint, what that means is you're moving from that neutral spine to a tucking of the pelvis. So you're flattening out that lower back. That is your imprint. So just keep those two words in mind because I will be referring to them a lot. You've got neutral, you've got your natural curve, a little bit of an arch in the lower back, and then you've got your imprint where you're removing that curve, coming to a flat back and imprint. And it'll make sense when we're doing it laying down. So I'm gonna invite you to come onto your mat. You're gonna place your head down. Your knees are bent, your feet are flat. You've got your feet roughly in line with your hips, keeping in mind that your hips is where your hip bones are. That's where the head of your thigh bone sits in the hip socket. We wanted that width. There's a tendency for people to think they have to go as wide as the outside edge of their hips. That's too wide. We want to go, especially for women, we tend to have wider hips, so you want to go right in line. Place your heels, your knees, so joint on joint on joint with that hip bone. So that is your hip width distance. From here, you've got the sacrum, which is that big flat bone at the base of your spine. You're going to be resting on that bone. You can kind of wiggle around, tuck your tailbone a few times until you feel like your weight is resting on that bone, on that flat surface, that sacrum. From here, the back of your head is onto the mat. Your shoulder blades, scapula are down as well. Now, this should technically be your neutral spine. In neutral, you'll notice that there's, as I said, a little bit of an arch in your lower back. You may be able to place your fingertips through part of your hand, but there shouldn't be, for most of us, there should not be enough space that you can place your whole hand and go all the way through. If you can do that, you're most likely overarching the spine, which we never want to do. That puts a lot of pressure on the lower back, not great for the back. So you're gonna find that neutral spine. Again, small arch. You should feel like you're weighted down on the sacrum. The other thing that happens when you're in neutral spine is your hip bones and your pubic bone are all in one line. So your lower abs should be relatively parallel to the floor. Now, neutral, right? This is neutral. Now we're gonna go from this neutral spine to that imprint. So imprint is just, as I mentioned earlier, we're removing the gap in the lower back. So you're tucking your tailbone to gently press your lower back down on the floor. And you're gonna come to this position and hold it. Now, when you're in imprint, there's no more, you can't place your fingers through, right? There's no more gap. You've got a good connection between your lower back and the mat. You should feel like your tailbone is lifted almost, right? It's not, it's slightly, you're not lifting, but there's There's a slight lift in the tailbone. That is imprint. So come back to neutral spine. We're going to play around with this a little bit because it's really important you know your neutral and you know your imprints, because we're going to be using these exercises through the workout. So take your arms down by your sides, start in your neutral spine. You're going to take a deep inhalation through the nose. Without moving the back, without doing anything, you're just going to exhale through the mouth. And again, a few rounds of deep breathing, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Now you're going to keep this breathing going. I'm just going to throw in a little bit more information at you. In Pilates, this is your Pilates breathing. In Pilates, the exhalation is almost a forced exhalation. So you really want to actively push the air out of your lungs. You also want to push the air through pursed lips. So imagine you're either blowing air through a straw or you're trying to fill a balloon with air. You're blowing the air through those pursed lips. So you're going to keep breathing in this way. Deep inhalation goes through the nose. And deep exhalation, like you're blowing air through a straw. On the next exhalation, we're going to add pulling in of the belly button. So your inhale is through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, as you were doing, but this time at the same time, you're just going to gently pull your belly button in. Don't move the spine. Don't push your back down. You're just pulling the belly button in slightly, almost like you want to zip up a pair of really tight pants. And then inhale, you release. You're going to do that a few more times on your own. So I know it's a lot of information. You may want to go through this part again and practice. The breathing in Pilates is the most important thing, as well as all the basics. So neutral, pelvic placement, rib cage connection, all those things we'll go through. It does take some time to get it. So be patient with yourselves. I'm not expecting anyone to walk out of this class today and know all of this, but the video's there. You can practice. If you do more classes with me in the future, we'll go through this all the time. And eventually you'll truly get it, and it's going to become like your second nature. So I'm going to add a little bit more just to complicate things slightly more. Now we're going to go into those pelvic tilts. Okay, so a pelvic tilt is moving from neutral spine to that imprint we spoke about earlier. So that's the only addition we're doing. So you're coming to neutral. Everyone can meet me in neutral. We're going to inhale here. Nothing moves except that deep inhalation through the nose. As you exhale through pursed lips, start by pulling your belly button in and then keep tucking through here so that you release that neutral and come to imprint. Your back is flat on the mat. Then we're back in our inhalation. You're going to gently come back to that neutral spine. Careful not to overarch here, right? So just that small neutral spine. And you're going to keep moving through these. As you're exhaling, you're gently pressing your lower back down. Don't jam it. And as you're inhaling, you're releasing back to that tabletop. Not tabletop, sorry, neutral. And again, exhale as you push down. Pull the belly button in. You've got nice core engagement here. Inhale, we release to neutral. Let's do two more. Exhale, tuck, pressing your lower back down. And inhale. And one more time, tuck. And release. So these are the only two basic principles I'm going to go through today. I'll add in more in the next session, but for now, let's keep moving so that we get a nice workout. I will encourage you to practice this on your own later on today or this week or whenever you have a moment. You're going to take your hands behind your head so your fingertips are supporting your head. Keep the shoulders away from your ears. Same as we were doing, you're going to take a deep inhalation through the nose. This time, as you exhale, not only do you pull your belly button in, you tuck your tailbone, but we're going to lift head, shoulders, and scapula off the mat. Now, careful not to take your arms forward here. You want to keep the elbows nice and wide. Inhale, release back down, head comes to the floor, you're back in that neutral spine. And again, as you exhale, pull the belly button in, tuck your tailbone, press the lower back down, you lift head, shoulders, scapula off the mat. And inhale, we come down. We're gonna do just 3 more like this, taking our time, focusing on all the things we've just learned. It's not gonna be perfect today, and that's okay. Whatever you do though, don't hold your breath. We're gonna do one more. This last one, you're gonna hold it up. So you're gonna maintain this contraction, keeping your elbows nice and wide. Press your fingers on the back of your head so they're really helping to support your neck. And we're gonna tiny pulse it up. Go up and up. Tiny move. You're barely moving here. Every time you go up, give me a sharp exhale. And exhale. And out. Out. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release it all the way down. We're gonna do it one more time exactly like this. Hands behind your head. Inhale. Exhale. You lift as you gently push your lower back down and tiny pulses up. Exhaling sharply every time. Keep pulling your belly button in. Exhale. Belly button comes in. Imagine someone's punching you in the belly here. And out. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. Come back down. Let's just take a quick breather here. Knees come to chest. You can rock side to side. And we're going to go into our bridging position here. Taking your feet back down to hip width. Arms can be down by the side. Find that neutral spine. You're going to take an inhale here. As you exhale, pull the belly button in. Tuck your tailbone. You're going to push your lower back down. From here, you're going to keep tucking the tailbone here. Imagine you're tucking so much that your hips start to lift. And you're slowly going to peel your spine up one bone at a time. You're not going higher than the shoulder blades. Okay, so I don't want to have any pressure on your neck, on your cervical spine. So your shoulder blades, your upper back should stay grounded onto the ground. We're going to stay here. Careful that this hasn't happened. There's a tendency to want to let the back overarch or arch. If you do that, chances are you're going to start to feel it in the lower back. So you need to tuck as best you can. If it's really hard for you to keep this tuck, you're going to lower it down a little bit. Okay, so you need to keep that imprint spine, right? Tucking while you're lifted. If you go up too high, see what happens to my lower back. I cannot maintain the imprint, so I go into overarch. I start to feel it in the back. Not great for me. So tucking my tailbone, I'm going to lower my hips down until I can maintain that nice tucking of the pelvis. From here, stay inhale. Keeping that tucking, you're going to lower down one bone at a time. Keep tucking, keep tucking. I want you to pass first through that imprint spine, so that lower back's going to come first onto the floor. And at the very end, you're going to release back to that neutral spine. We're going to do that a few more times. Inhale to start. Exhale, pull the belly button in. Tuck your tailbone. Slowly press your back down. Now keep tucking, keep tucking. Don't let go of the tuck as you slowly lift up. Once you start to feel that you're losing that tuck, you've gone to your furthest point. Staying at the top. Inhale. Keep tucking. As you exhale, lower down. From the sternum first, you're going bone by bone. Nice spinal articulation here. Keep tucking so that you can first press your lower back down and then finally release to neutral spine. Let's do 2 more exactly like this. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, pull the belly button in, press your lower back down, slowly start to lift up. Once you reach your highest point in tucking, inhale, keep that tuck and lower back down. You pass through imprint and at the very end release to neutral. You've got 1 more round. Inhale here. Exhale, start to pull the belly button in. Press your lower back down. Keep that tucking motion to lift up. We want to keep the upper back shoulder blades on the floor. There's no tension in the neck here. We are at the top. We inhale and exhale, lower back all the way down. Good job. Little rule in Pilates. When your feet are down, it's perfectly fine. and best to have your spine in neutral. If the legs are lifted, legs are heavy. So when the legs are lifted, to maintain neutral is really hard. It's very, very challenging. So what's going to happen for most people when they lift their legs, because the legs are heavy, it's going to pull on the back and force you into overarching. Because of that, and here's the secret, whenever your legs are lifted, I want you to be in imprint. Once you're in imprint, it's easier to keep your back nice and safe here. Okay? To be in my perfect, even now I'm overarching, to maintain neutral with my legs lifted, really challenging. So when the legs are lifted, when both legs, when one leg is on the floor, not as important. You can be neutral, you can be in imprint, but when both legs are up, rule of thumb, if you're in a group class somewhere, taking Pilates somewhere, or working out on your own, the second you lift both legs, I want you to think about pushing your back down into that imprint position just to help protect your lower back. Okay, so imprint your spine. All that to say that we're going to come to a tabletop position with both legs. This is tabletop position. In tabletop position, few things here. My knee is bent 90 degrees. My hip is bent 90 degrees, which means that my shins will be parallel to the floor. Okay, you don't want to take your knees in. You don't want to have your feet down there. Think 90 degrees, 90 degrees. That's why in this position here, it's going to be really important that you maintain imprint. If this is not happening, if you're not able to maintain the imprint and it's really hard for you to be here, then you're going to cheat, and I'm using air quotes, the tabletop position and just pull your legs in a little bit more towards your chest. Okay, that's totally fine. We always want to protect the back first, the lower back. So once you're in that tabletop position here, we're going to move. You can point your feet, okay, flexed, point. You're going to keep your feet pointed. You're going to keep your knees bent 90 degrees, okay? So the angle, you're not going to bend and unbend the knees. They're going to stay frozen in 90-degree bend. We're going to be moving from the hip joint. So you're going to imagine that there's a little bucket of water here, a little pool of water, and we're going to go dab our toes into that little pool of water by moving through the hip joint and then coming up. Okay, let's stick to those same sides. So right leg. So I'm not going like this, right, to tap the water. I'm moving from my hip and then coming back up. And again. And up. Now, some of you, maybe you're going to touch the ground, but most of us won't, right? Because in most cases, if you try to really touch the ground with your big toes, you're going to notice the angle of your knee is going to change. And I want you to keep that 90 degrees. I want you to focus just on hip mobility here and keeping your spine in neutral. So even though we're not doing sit-ups, we're still getting a good core workout because we're having to engage the lower abs here in order to keep the lower back flat on the floor. Let's do another 2 and another 1, and then we're going to switch sides. So you're going to go with the left leg, tap the water with your big toes, come back up. Your focus is on that knee. It's really hard to keep it bent 90 degrees. It's going to want to do its own thing. You've got to focus. Full mind-body connection. Let's do another 5 and 4 and 3, 2 and 1. We're going to take a quick little break here just to release everything. Take your knees in towards your chest. And then we're going to come back to that tabletop position, making sure your back's in imprint. And this time we're going to go, you can glue your legs in here for a little bit more support. Keep those knees bent, arms by your sides. This time we're going to go both legs. You're going to see your back's going to want to overarch, right? So keep it pressing down and come up. If your back starts to lift off your mat, you've gone too far for your abdominal strength at this moment. So you need to go only as far as you can maintain an imprint spine. Imprint again means your lower back is flat on the mat. Don't forget to breathe. Let's do another 3. Another 2. Another 1. Take it up, take one foot down, other foot down. You're going to reach your legs out in front of you. We're going to go for the Pilates Roll Up, which is a very classical exercise of Pilates. Your arms can reach behind you. We're going to start with a half roll up. You're going to inhale, your arms start to reach up towards the ceiling. You're going to tuck your chin like you want to look forward here. And then slowly you're going to peel your upper spine off the mat. And from here, going back down. We're going to do that a few more times just to warm up. And for some of you, this may be as far as you go today. And that's perfectly fine. The roll-up can be, for some people, super easy, and then for other people, very challenging. It doesn't only have to do with abdominal strength. It has to do with a whole bunch of other factors. So it's not for everyone. You're all going to feel this differently, and that's okay. Now we're going to go up higher, going all the way up actually. So you're going to roll it up, nice and slow. You're going to keep reaching forward, bend slightly over your legs, and then roll it down. And you're going to keep doing this a few times. As you're doing them, I'm going to just throw in a bit of information. What I don't want you to do is use momentum. We're not going to do that. If you need to use momentum, stick to the previous version. The other thing you're not going to do is this kind of side motion just so you can get yourself all the way up there. Pointless to do that. You're not going to build the strength to eventually be able to do not just strength, but strength, mobility, and flexibility to eventually complete this exercise. So listen to your body. If you're only doing the half version, once you've got to your highest point, you're going to hold it here and see if you can go just even a millimeter higher and then go down. And that's how you're going to eventually find the way to come all the way up. Let's just do another few more. Or maybe you've decided that you're done, and that's fine. You're just going to stay on your back. And if you want to, do one more without coming back down to the floor. We're going to stay up on this next one. And we're going to transfer onto hands and knees, which is also called tabletop. A few things about this tabletop position is, again, your knees are in line with your hip bones. So you've got hip width distance, and you also want to have your hands directly in line with your shoulders. So here we are, joint on joint on joint, everything's nice and straight. Careful not to bend your elbows and have your chest sagging through your arms here. So you're going to push up through your hands. Shoulder blades are flat on the upper thoracic spine. And you want to maintain neutral spine. None of this, everything's your tabletop, right? It's called a tabletop for a reason. So we want to have that nice tabletop position. The neck. I know you have to look at your camera, at your screen at some point, but we never want to be looking out in front. Look at what that does to my neck. It just bends my neck back. It's not good for the cervical spine. So usually when we're in tabletop position is you want to think about keeping that length in the neck. So I'm looking down between my thumbs. Imagine there's a string attached to the crown of your head and it's pulling your head forward. And then there's another string from your tailbone that's pulling you back. So you've got that nice length all along your spine. Very safe, very effective position for your spine. Now from here, we're going to do a few cat stretches. So starting in neutral spine, you're going to tuck your tailbone first. We did these on the floor. You're going to roll and keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling, one bone at a time until you release your head all the way down. From here, we're going to reverse it. So you're going to start again from the tailbone. You're going to lengthen this time. One bone at a time, nice and slow. We're coming back to neutral. Now, if you're a yogi, if you've done yoga, In yoga, we do cat and cow. In Pilates, we're not going to do the cow part. We're just always going to come back to that neutral spine. It's better for the spine. It's safer. Cow is not always good for everyone. Neutral is good for everyone. So again, let's do a few more times. Start in that tabletop position. Inhale. As you exhale, start by tucking your tailbone. Pull the belly button in. Think of all the principles we learned in the beginning and apply them here. Rounding all the way until you release your head. From here, make sure you feel the stretch behind your shoulder blades by pushing your hands down. Keep rounding the upper spine. Now from the tailbone, you're going to lengthen, coming back nice and slow to your tabletop position. Remember, the neck is long. You're looking between both thumbs. And again, inhale here. Exhale, you tuck the tailbone, pull the belly button in. You're rounding through the lower back, making your way up to the mid-back. Shoulder blades, the shoulders go front. Eventually the head comes down. Stay here, inhale. Exhale, lengthen from the tailbone first. Lower back, mid-back. Lengthening through the shoulder blades, shoulders, and the neck and head. And a few more times. Inhale here. Exhale, tuck. Round, round, round. Nice and slow. Full articulation here. Drop the head. Stay, inhale. From the tailbone, you lengthen. And again, let's just do one more here. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, you tuck the tailbone. Pull the belly button in, round, round, round. Nice articulation here. Drop the head, really press through those hands. Release the head fully. Inhale. Exhale, you lengthen from the tailbone. You're going to take your knees nice and wide, big toes together, sit back. This is what we call shell stretch in Pilates, which is the same as a child's pose in yoga. And we're going to come back onto our backs. We're just going to finish today's lesson with a few more core exercises here, give you a good burn. We'll do a few twists, and that will be your first lesson, at least with me. So make your way back down to the floor. Inhale here, exhale, come to that imprint. You're going to take one leg up to tabletop, maintain imprint, take the other leg up to tabletop. Taking your hands behind your head. Inhale, take your chin towards your chest and you lift head, shoulder, scapula off the mat. You're going to reach the right leg out diagonally and bend and left. Reach and bend again. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're going to reach the right leg again. Hold it here. This time we're going to pulse the chest. And 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep your back down. Remember, both legs are lifted. Pull the belly button in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch legs. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bend both knees, take your head down, knees to chest. Taking your feet back down to hip width, open your arms to the sides. You're just going to allow your knees to fall to the right, take them through center and go to the left. Going side to side here. Doing one more. Coming back to center again, press your lower back down, come back to that imprint. Take one leg to tabletop, maintain imprint as you lift the other leg up. Take your hands behind your head. Inhale, chin to chest. Exhale, lift head, shoulders, scapula off the floor. You're going to reach both legs nice and straight. Your feet are pointed to start. You're going to flex the feet, lower the legs, maybe a foot, not more. Point and up. And again, flex to lower, point to lift. 8 more. Flex, down, point, up. Now, if this is too much for you, You're gonna keep your knees bent and just take the legs down a few inches and down, like we were doing with the toe taps. This is a good option. Otherwise, legs are straight. Keep the lower back down. 2 and 1 and bend the knees. Head comes down, knees to chest. Take your feet back down to hip width. Arms can be down by your sides. You can bend your elbows. That's going to be a little bit more challenging. More challenging even, you'll have your arms up towards the ceiling. That said, careful, the shoulder blades are not lifting off the ground, so keep them glued to the ground. You're in neutral spine here, a little bit of an arch in the lower back. Take a deep inhalation through the nose. Exhale, belly button comes in. Tuck your tailbone, you push your lower back down, and then keep tucking to lift your hips up off the ground. You're gonna stay here, you're gonna do tiny pulses up and up. You're going up an inch, but don't lose that tuck. Keep tucking and tucking and tucking. Last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep tucking and roll it back down. Take your knees towards your chest. Hold the backs of your thighs. You're going to lift your upper body, come into the smallest ball possible here. And then you're slowly going to start to rock front and back. And coming to a seated position. Whatever is comfortable for you, if it's with your legs crossed, if it's kneeling down, doesn't really matter. Just make sure that it's okay on your knees and your back. Make sure you can keep your spine elongated, right? We're not gonna slouch, not on my clock. Inhale, reach both arms up, and exhale, arms down. And again, 2 more times. Inhale, reach up, lengthen. Remember that string attached to the crown of your head. And down last time, you're gonna inhale, taking your hands into prayer and exhaling through heart center. You're done with this first Pilates class. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. I hope you learned something. I will be posting more of these beginner intro Pilates classes. Hopefully it will help some of you so that you can begin your Pilates journey with me. Take care, you guys. See you again sometime soon, and aloha.